Got it? Is it really so dangerous? Yeah, it's my last resort. If I used it, it would be like if our leader's sword went on a rampage. It's powerful enough to destroy a whole city. Everly's words carried weight, but Climb heard a puzzled huh from his chest. He wanted to look, but if he did, he would become aware of how close they were. He couldn't take it. Even if he wanted to push her away, she was so soft. He wasn't sure how much force to use. And all the while his heart was clanging like an alarm bell. The conversation continued. Lachias's sword? Yeah, she said that if it goes crazy, it would level a whole city, or was it a country? She uses some of her power just to suppress it. Really? I had no idea. Climb hadn't told the princess about the demonic sword. You don't have to worry about it. Our demon leader only keeps it to herself because she didn't want to stress you out. Pretend you didn't hear about it. All right, I'll do that. Speaking of which, what happened to Lady Aindra? I haven't seen her lately. Didn't anyone tell you? Hey princess, you didn't tell him? I forgot. She's accompanying Gagarin and Tyr on some training. Climb. Everly took over from Rena. Those two died in the fight against Jaldabaoth in the kingdom. Of course, they've been resurrected, but they lost a lot of life force. To regain it, they were voluntarily putting themselves in danger and fighting through life and death battles to build their strength back up. We wanted to go along too, but if we did that, it would feel a little bit too easy somehow. The best way to get tough quickly is through small group battles. I wonder if that's really true though. Well, there's supposedly a level-up ritual that is more effective, but well, if they believed that and slacked off on training, we probably wouldn't even be able to buy time if that demon came to attack the capital again. Buy time. Oh, Everly, you mean until your favorite guy comes again? Yes, until the great hero arrives. Everly's whole demeanor suddenly changed. You could distinctly feel the heat of her passion, even from beneath her mask. Sir Momon, right? Right, the great hero Sir Momon. He's the most powerful warrior who dual-wields gigantic swords with such ease, it's as if he's swinging twigs. He is without a doubt the strongest warrior of any country in the region. I am sure that if he's around, he'll defeat Jaldabaoth for us. He nearly got him last time, but the bastard ran away. But this is Sir Momon we were talking about, so I am sure he already has a plan to deal with him. She gushed so ardently. All Climb could do was chime in with an oh yeah. But can he even come next time? Isn't he under the King of Darkness' rule now? Tina asked in a tired voice that was rare for her. Everly's hands had been joyously clasped together, but now she shouted, Sir Momon, shit, that damn King of Darkness. Even if heaven allows him to rule over our hero, I will not. If he could just defeat him and be free, what was he thinking? Maybe I should go to Rantel and hear what Sir Momon has in mind. Wait until those two regain their power. I would be right back though. Once I know the location, I can teleport. If I use fly for one way, it won't take that long. Everly, you really fall apart when it comes to Momon. Didn't our demon leader already tell you couldn't do that? If you would just keep it a secret, then actually, I am awful at keeping secrets. They just bubble right up. I can really imagine that, given your previous occupation. Unfortunately, I am Tina of the Blue Roses now. You can call me Loose Lips. Then Tina got a determined glint in her eye. This is a good chance. I should ask you. Everly, can you kill the King of Darkness? Everly froze. All the giddiness of earlier was gone. Now it was the strongest adventurer caster who sat there. If all the stories I've heard are true, he has surpassed the power any single caster is capable of possessing. I personally investigated what happened on the Katsi plane after the fact. I used all my contacts. I got in touch with the old lady and analyzed the information we had, but honestly, it's too absurd. I want to believe the witnesses were bewildered by illusions. It was no illusion. So many people died. Rena's face twisted in grief. 260,000 people participated in that battle. Of those, 180,000 died. I heard there are also people mentally anguished to the point where they can no longer lead a normal life. Some of the children in the orphanage have parents in that condition. From what the kids said, I can only imagine that to be true. Getting attacked by that many monsters, yes. It was truly hell. Luckily, I was with Brain and the captain. With allies that strong, my mental state was spared, but I still glance behind me at times. For militiamen, that fear would be stronger, so I am not surprised there are people with psychological issues. Climb nodded. Okay, Tina. I'll give your question a sincere answer. It's impossible for me to defeat the King of Darkness. That was the answer they had expected. So it's true. Well, yeah, I might be able to do something about those monsters he summoned, but it's hard to give a definite answer without seeing them myself. Honestly, a king with the power to summon more than one of those things shouldn't exist in this world. Those powers are mythological. Is it possible that he used an item to summon them? That it wasn't his power? That could be, but it would be dangerous to assume that's what happened. Not that we have a way to confirm it. It would be great if he would clash with Jaldabaoth. That's what everyone hopes will happen, although the best would be if Sir Momon defeated him. Who do you think is stronger, Sir Momon or the King of Darkness? The one who asked was Climb. Personally, he thought that the King of Darkness must have been stronger, since he could summon so many monsters. He was surprised to see Everlai take some time to think. I don't know. Personally, I was thinking of Sir Momon. He repulsed Jaldabaoth, but the King of Darkness' power is also difficult to fathom. Both are so much more powerful than the rest of us that I can't even imagine. Having a guy like that under the King of Darkness' rule is the worst. No one can put up a fight. She was right. If the one person who could potentially fight the King of Darkness on equal ground was under his thumb, that was a problem. If anyone wanted to challenge the King of Darkness, they would essentially have to face double the strength. As the atmosphere in the carriage grew gloomy, the driver tapped on the window separating the passengers from the box seat. "We'll arrive at the palace soon." At the driver's voice, Rena sat up. Then she looked at the two adventurers seated before her. "Thank you so much for all your help today. Will you extend my gratitude to Lachias and also tell her I'd like to have a meal together sometime?" Having received word that his sister was nearly home, the second Prince Zanak Vol Onagana Ryle Vaself left his room to go welcome her. Their elder brother Barbaro and Yeld Ryle Vaself had gone missing, and enough time had passed that they had lost hope he was still alive. So Zanak had practically been declared the heir. It was strange that he should go to meet his little sister. There was a clear hierarchy between elder brother and younger sister. Still, he went. The reason was that he had an urgent matter to discuss with her. He didn't like it, but after losing an important counterpart, she was the only person he could rely on. Eventually he caught sight of her. Climb stood next to her, in his pure white armor. He went almost everywhere Rena did, so there wasn't anything strange about that. Climb had been a destitute child Rena had plucked off the streets long ago. Zanak had once thought she did it only on a whim, because her head was full of nonsense. But once he learned how bizarre and intelligent she was, he started to think there had to be a reason. The reason seemed clear after Jaldabaoth's attack on the capital and the King of Darkness' massacre. There were almost no soldiers in the capital stronger than Climb. Even among Gazef's group of hand-selected warriors, only a handful were equal or superior to him. Rena had also made personal connections with a man Climb had apparently brought over, Brain Unglaus, as well as Lachias, the leader of the Adamantite Plate adventurer team, the Blue Roses. He was quite sure that his little sister possessed more military might than anyone in the royal capital. Could she be aiming to carry out a coup? It was only natural that Zanak should wonder. Even if Rena wouldn't take such a simple, direct angle, he had to be on guard. As part of that, he was making great efforts behind the scenes to forge personal ties with adventurer teams equipped with orichalcum and mithril plate. Zanak was grateful to his elder brother. After all, it was due to his disappearance that Zanak had effectively been chosen as the next king. This allowed him to have a hand in so many different matters. That his brother's annual allowance had been added to his was another benefit. Still, he was a bit concerned that his brother Barbaro's corpse hadn't been found. It would be problematic if he was being imprisoned by the King of Darkness. It would be equally annoying if he was injured and recuperating in a village somewhere. "He's determined to cause me trouble to the very end," he said under his breath, so the people accompanying him wouldn't hear. He needed to wait until his position was a bit more stable before provoking the nobles. Zanak was worried about his backing at the moment. Marquis Revan had promised to help him develop the kingdom. But then he broke free when Zanak tried to stop him and returned to his domain. It was only natural, since so many people from his territory had died. But for some reason, Zanak felt he would never return. He was sure one reason was the loss of the commoner strategist that Revan was so proud of. He also lost his team of former orichalcum plate adventurers. Zanak felt a mild ache in his stomach. Would talking to his sister ease the pain a bit? One question had been on his mind for several weeks. Should he send the King of Darkness a gift? And if he did, Should it be to congratulate him on establishing his country, or for some other reason? He probably shouldn't send anything at present. If a country that had its territory forcibly taken sent a gift to the new state established on that stolen territory, neighboring countries would interpret it as a sign of submission. It was terribly important to build an amicable relationship with the King of Darkness. The power of the Nation of Darkness was still unclear, but it was well known that its king alone was powerful enough to annihilate an entire country. Zanak knew he had to prevent the King of Darkness from gazing toward the kingdom any more than he already did. That was why he wanted to send a gift. Personally, Zanak didn't care if it was interpreted as a sign of submission. As long as it bought some time, that was enough. The tricky part was that he knew the kingdom's nobles wouldn't accept that. Certainly, many people were aware of the King of Darkness's power, but they probably wouldn't stand for the heir to the throne making gestures of submission to the Nation of Darkness. The nobles had suffered a major blow. They were looking for someone to take their discontent out on. King Ramposa III was tremendously upset. He was both shocked and devastated by the death of the fantastically strong Gazov Stronov. Seeing him in that sorry state, the nobles backed off somewhat. They hadn't discarded the animosity they felt toward the king. He had been thoroughly defeated, as had the royal family. She would probably have a good idea. He really wanted to make the call on his own, but too much time had already passed. He needed an answer. Zanak stopped. His shoes clacked loudly against the floor. Rena turned to look at him when she heard the sound. Then she changed directions and walked over to him. This showed that he had superiority. She arrived before him, but he didn't say anything. It was a delicate time. He needed to continually assert his dominance over many people. "I am back, brother, I see, sister." He benevolently answered her princessly curtsy with a bow. In his peripheral vision, Climb was bowing, but Zanak wouldn't return the courtesy of a mere soldier. "Shall we walk part of the way together? It would be my pleasure." Zanak set off with her. He gestured with his chin at the people accompanying him to give them some space. He noticed Rena signal the same to Climb. "You seem in a rush, Zanak. What's going on?" Rena asked in a low voice. Her smile remained unchanged. Did a messenger from the Nation of Darkness arrive? Zanak nearly had a heart attack. He was considering his own actions so deeply that he hadn't thought she might say that. She must have figured that the other side would make a move soon. Zanak filed that away for reference and shook his head. "No, nothing like that." "Is there another reason you came out of your way to meet me?" "Yes, I was wondering what to do about a gift. If a messenger comes, I think you should give them double what you're currently thinking. Half to express appreciation for the one who came, and the other half, well, it goes without saying." Zanak said nothing as he let her words sink in. It was a really good idea. If he told the nobles it was to reward the Nation of Darkness for coming to them, there shouldn't be any problem, even if internally he intended other meanings as well. Once again, Zanak was struck by how terrifying his sister was. She had solved the problem he had been racking his brain over in an instant, but as long as her followers had more military might, even if he tried to kill her, he would only be met with revenge. Thus, his only option was gentle persuasion. "When I become king, I'll give you a domain somewhere remote. You should go there, understood? I'll obey you, brother. Once I send you, I'll never summon you back here. I can promise there won't be inconveniences, but I am preparing a domain that should provide you a decent life. Stay there for the rest of your life." "Yes, brother, thank you." He felt like Rena would understand even if he didn't say anything more, saying it would make her feel more indebted to him. "You can even adopt a parentless child there, I don't mind. Do as you like." "Thank you, brother." The immediate response must have meant she was already thinking along those lines. Zanak didn't understand why his sister was so in love with Climb, that commoner. He didn't have a great face, and he didn't own anything of value. Zanak thought he wasn't a good match for his sister. Oh right, he remembered her fetish. Zanak felt sort of bad for Climb, remembering the disgraceful part of his sister he wanted to forget. "I can wait for you to be king, brother. I hope that even once you're a king, you'll sometimes think of me living off in the country." "Yes, I will, sister, and I hope I can consult with you now and then." Zanak noticed a soldier jogging their way. He was one of the survivors from Gazov's group. They had served the king well on that battlefield. That was why their positions were secure despite the loss of their captain. The king trusted them deeply. Incidentally, Rena's two subordinates were trusted to the same degree. Zanak remembered the withered face of his father. "Prince, the king is calling for you." After a pause, the soldier turned to Rena. "You too, princess, what is it?" "We've received word that a delegation from the Nation of Darkness is on its way." Zanak glanced at his sister for a split second and then replied, "Okay, tell him I'll be there right away." "Rena, I'll go ahead. Come once you're ready." "Yes, Zanak." The clothing she wore to visit the orphanage was modest and simple. It would be an embarrassment in front of the nobles. Having said as much, Zanak strode off with a grim look on his face. Oof. There's nothing at all appealing about that proposal, and it's come far too late. Apparently, a delegation from the Nation of Darkness was traveling from Rantel to the capital. The journey would take a week. This was the 7th day. If the journey had gone according to plan, the delegation would arrive today. Zanak, who had never really gotten the hang of wearing armor, was clad in it nonetheless. He lined up alongside other knights facing the gate leading out of the capital toward Rantel. A spell of overcast weather had cleared, as if it had all been a hoax. A pleasant spring sky stretched out overhead, but thick clouds still hung off in the distance. The sky was blue only over the capital. It was so unusual that the royal weather observer was left scratching his head. "It's impossible," he said. He had been employed at the palace for years. He boasted an accuracy of over 90% when predicting the next day's weather. If he said it was impossible, then perhaps the blue sky wasn't natural. Zanak exhaled with a foo beneath his helmet. His teacher had never told him about magic that could control weather. But it probably made more sense to suppose something like that was a piece of cake for the King of Darkness. Zanak was annoyed by the fact that he didn't have anyone beneath him who knew enough about not only magic, but all the diverse sorts of powers that existed. More specifically, he had been relying too much on Marquis Revan. That man had been acquiring information from adventurers. He was compiling a compendium. It contained things like what magic items those adventurers knew of and their forms. It also contained the types of monsters and their abilities, and it contained various kinds of spells. Up until now, Zanak had been able to access that knowledge. He and the Marquis were allies. Revan had left the capital, and the compendium was gone. Zanak tried to find another noble who gathered information from adventurers like Revan did, but he couldn't find one. It wasn't that the other nobles were fools. To nobles, the world of adventurers was separate from their own. Some nobles employed adventurers, but they used their strength, not to learn about their society and knowledge. Nobles had been like that for 200 years of the kingdom's history. In that sense, Marquis Revan was unusual. Was it easy to find retired adventurers and ones ranked mithril or higher? Zanak had heard that adventurers disliked political trouble. Indeed, politics felt far removed from freedom. Would adventurers really come and work for him after they retired? Zanak grew moody. "Prince." The knight's voice brought him back to his senses. He looked down the road. There they were. They were like specks, but it was the delegation from the Nation of Darkness. Zanak had used his royal powers to ensure no one else could travel down that road. No one came through the gate behind them. Today only the gate was shut. "Okay, let us review one more time. It's the same as when any foreign noble visits. If anyone tries to do anything to the delegation, it's a serious crime. Execute the perpetrator immediately." "Yes, sir," the line of knights made an energetic reply. The sound of them pounding their swords on their hips rang out in unison. "All right, use all your manners and let us get this national prestige battle started." "Yes, sir." They all stood at attention until the delegation arrived. Eventually, a messenger approached. It was a knight in black armor, astride a jet-black unicorn with burning red eyes. Whoever was inside the armor was probably not human. The dense presence the figure emanated shimmered like heat haze. It warned everyone watching of life-threatening danger. The full plate armor pulsed as if it were alive. Zanak felt the warhorse beneath him shudder. Claw-like gauntlets released the reins and pounded on the knight's chest. "Apologies for speaking to you from my mount. We are the delegation from Aints Ul Gaun, Nation of Darkness." To explain it with a simile, the voice was like the ear-splitting timbre of a rotting string instrument. Just the sound of it gave him the chills. It tormented him with anxiety. Zanak raised his own voice to counteract his fear. "I am the second prince of the Rey Estais kingdom. My name is Zanak Vol Onagana Ryle Self. The king has ordered me to guide you noble visitors to the palace. Please follow us." "Very well, we accept your guidance. My name, forgive me, but I have no name. You may call me by my race name, Death Cavalier." The name surprised Zanak. He let it delay his reply. Shall I call you Sir Cavalier then? That would be splendid. Understood. Then first of all could I greet the leader of the delegation? I am the second prince. I am also responsible for the leader's conduct while in the palace. If possible, I'd like to make sure that person knows who I am ahead of time. I see. I'll go ask. You have my gratitude. The messenger returned to the group. There were already all sorts of things Zanak could pick on, but he was dealing with the nation of darkness.